do. I've been reading on a number of different websites and different books and articles about veterans and soldiers. And one quote has stuck with me for a while. And I don't know if it's true, if you would say that it's true, but it's something that's stuck with me. It is, and here's the quote. It is said that soldiers in battle fight for their country, but die for their friends. I thought that's really powerful. And the only thing I know about war is what I've seen in movies. The movies have a pretty good way of depicting, I think, what really happened. And to watch people die for their friends is powerful. It's powerful. Last Sunday, we started our stewardship campaign for the year, the pledge campaign, and we asked you all to fill out, what is the sunshine of your life? What is the joy of your life? And we put them up over there. And if you go over there and read through them, it's amazing how many of you find joy. Your number one source of joy in your life is your friends. The friendships you have, the relationships you have, not your friends, your family, your children, your spouse, your family, the relationships that you have, and how relationships are so important to who we are. And relationships are so important to our joy. And it's those relationships that cause people to give their lives in war. So today, I think there's a biblical definition in today's Gospels and other readings that tell us what friendship really is, biblically, how we can be better friends. And I think you'll find that not only is it a biblical explanation of what makes a good friend, as I went through these and put them together, last night I realized that each of these makes a good soldier as well. And so I'd like to share those with you. The first is a friend and a soldier confronts. That's what Amos is all about. I love this text. It makes me laugh every time I read it. That it is, there's the Jews, the Israelites, they were waiting for God to come. The day of the Lord, they were looking forward to it, and they thought they were so good. And Amos says, it's not going to be good when God comes. It's going to be like you fled from a lion and ran into a bear. I thought Jason might give his children's sermon on that. That would be funny. I would laugh anyway. I think that's really funny to me because I know that I have met people in my life, friends of mine, family members of mine, who were in the process, the cycle of bad decision making. You ever knew somebody like that? And you want to say, I realize that you're running from a lion, but you're running to a bear. Because one bad decision doesn't make another bad decision any better, right? A friend is called to confront, to tell the truth. I think that's a soldier's main job, isn't it? To confront evil, to confront those who wish to inflict harm on their neighbors and on their country. But the problem is, in life, we live in this world where it's if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, right? How many of you have said that to your kids? Can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. I think what we're called to do is learn to speak the truth, but to speak it in love, and realize that sometimes it's not what the other person wants to hear. When I was an intern at Calvary Lutheran Church in Richland Hills, Pastor Phil Hines, many of you know him, many people want this internship site because Pastor Phil is so honest. He's so good at what he does. But what you don't realize is when you get there, every sermon you give is dissected. And Pastor Phil walks through each one and says, why did you say that? Why didn't you say, he just calls you out on everything you say. And if you don't have a theological answer for why you said what you said, well, then you don't need to do it again. And so literally it got to the point where I wasn't enjoying preaching. I was up all night, Saturday night, because I was so worried about my sermon. I had don't make fun of me. I was 28 years old and I had a Superman alarm clock. And it had a projector that projected the time onto the ceiling in the little Superman thing. It was a gift from my mother, so if you got a problem with it, you can talk to her when she comes. So here, a 28-year-old man, and I got my Superman alarm clock, and I would stare at that thing all night on Saturday. All night, because I was worried about my sermon the next day. And so I finally turned the projector off, because I couldn't take it anymore. And so I would lay on my side, and I would stare at the alarm clock all night. And I would watch time tick away until I had to preach the next morning. And finally, I just unplugged the alarm clock. And I've never had an alarm clock since, except for on my phone. And so I can't watch the clock in the middle of the night. And that was so freeing for me. And see, the thing is Phil doesn't do it to be mean. He does it because he wants me to be my best. He wants the best for me, and he wants the best for the church. And that means I need to be at my best. And so those Tuesday afternoons where we'd sit and talk about the sermons and dissect them made me a better preacher. And it was the best thing for me and the best thing for the church. And that's what a friend does. A friend sits there and tells you the hard word that you don't want to hear because it's the best thing for you. A friend and a soldier helps, carries his friends if necessary. The psalmist today in the very first verse, "Be pleased, O God, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me." I think we've all been in that situation where we just need help from somebody. We need help from God. It's a terrible thing to have to admit that we need help, but I find the sooner we're willing to admit it, the better life is. Last weekend we were, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, we had a dinner, and we were over one of our members' house, and he was telling me the story about how his father won an award in Vietnam, how there was 2 helicopters that were shot down, and his father was able to get out of his helicopter, and he saw the others were stuck in theirs, and so he ran across the battlefield as bullets were flying over his head and pulled them out and had to carry each one of them across the battlefield to safety, and he won an award for that. And there are times in life when we are all in the midst of something in our lives that we don't know what to do next, where to go next. We don't even know how to start to get better. And we need friends to help us. I guess today's the day for embarrassing stories about me. So when I was 13 years old, I went to a summer camp, and there was an obstacle course, and it's 13 feet tall. There's a wall that's 13 feet tall. It's called the wall. And the goal is to have your team work together to get everybody over the wall. Well, at 13 years old, I was a big kid. I wasn't much shorter than I am now. Probably weighed a little less, but I didn't have a lot of upper body strength at 13 for a big kid. And so they were trying to get me over the wall. They were pushing me, and I got to the top of the wall, and I didn't have the upper body strength to pull myself over. And I felt myself letting go. And so I said, "Everyone get out of the way." Because, they teach the kids, how to spot and catch somebody if they fall. Well, 220 pounds falling from 13 feet. If you're a 90-pound girl, it doesn't matter how much training you have. So I said, get out of the way. So I just fell, and I hit my head because I fell backwards. And I thought, well, this is just something I'm never going to accomplish. And it was something I was afraid of, actually. It was something I was afraid of. And 6 years later, when I was 19, I went to work at camp as a counselor. And before the summer began, through staff training, we had to go and do the wall. And I was one of the, I had a bad experience, and I don't want to do it. And my friend Steve said, "No, you're doing it." I said, "Steve, I don't think you understand." He said, "No, I don't think you understand. We're going to accomplish this together." And Steve was on top of the wall. And so they pushed me up, and I was there, and I grabbed hands with Steve, and he put my arms on top of the wall, and he literally reached down. Steve's not a very big guy, but he's strong, and he pulled my entire body over the wall. And I think sometimes in life we need friends who are willing to pull us over things, pull us through things, help us out in ways that we never knew we needed to be helped out. Think of friend and soldier, finally today, sacrifices. All soldiers sacrifice. All soldiers, if nothing else, they give years of their prime to defend our nation. And for those who are called to overseas, to wars, they give years away from their family. But more than that, they have to witness the worst that humanity is capable of. And many return, most return, never the same. Because how do you go from that back to normal life and not be affected by it? But then, of course, there's some who give everything that they have, which John says today, greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friends. I was trying to think of a great example of this, but I thought, why don't we just talk about the 1.3 million examples? 25,000 soldiers died in the Revolutionary War. 15,000 soldiers died in the War of 1812. 750,000 died in the Civil War. 116,000 in World War I. 405,000 in World War II. 36,000 in the Korean War. 58,000 in Vietnam. 6,700 in the War on Terror. In 240 years, our nation has lost 1.3 million soldiers who gave their lives for this country. And one person gave their life for the world. His death saved us from our sins and from the enemy that wants to ruin our lives. And so, as long as I live on earth, I will be proud to be an American. And for eternity, I will be proud to be called a child of God. Amen.